Florida Gators' new defensive coordinator, 29-year-old Austin Armstrong, spoke to the media about what you can expect from this Gator defense in 2023. He threw out a lot of football jargon, but to put it simply, Florida's going to be multiple. He said, a lot of people have a toolbox. We have a tool shed. Week in and week out, we're going to go to the tool shed, figure out what we got to use to win the game that week. There's a lot to unpack within this. But if you're a Florida Gator fan, you're like, all right, I like the sound of this. I like what he's saying. We got to match up with different teams to be able to be effective different weeks. You know, it's a complex conference. I understand that. So I think he's saying a lot of the right things. But let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into what Austin Armstrong said in terms of what it could infer for Florida Gator fans. Talking about being multiple on the back end and on the front end. If this is true, it means two things. It means, one, like he was saying already, you can compete with different styles of teams. Teams want to play spread. That's great. We can play on the back end with you. We're able to match up personnel-wise, and we can align differently to combat the spread in modern college football. Hey, we're going to play ground and pound. It's going to be in the trenches. You better bring your hard hat and lunch pail to work today, because that's how we're going to get down. Florida, schematically, according to Austin Armstrong, can match up that way as well. And what he said is on the money. You have to do that in this league. In the SEC, you have to be able to play that way. That's the first thing that means. So that's encouraging. You're up to par in terms of what that would require schematically. The thing that I think it also would mean for Florida Gator fans, if what he's saying is true and they can line up in different personnel groupings effectively, it means you get to keep the offense guessing with what you're going to do as a defense. It means you can bring pressure from different places on the defense. It means you can confuse the offense with the kind of looks that you line up in. So you're able to sort of dictate your terms to the offense as opposed to the other way around, which is just a good way to live anytime you're playing in the SEC. I got more thoughts on this, but if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you're locked in. College football content every single day. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Piquel. Appreciate y'all for that. Okay. So regardless of what this means for Florida, internally, they feel like right now, at least, through a few practices at spring, they have the personnel to do it. Now, do they actually have the personnel to do it? This defense that gave up 30 points a game last year, we're going to see when it comes to the fall. But you have to take some encouragement that Austin Armstrong is putting these sort of different schemes into play right now. Now, spring is also a time to sort of experiment with what you have on your roster and try different guys, different places, because you don't have a game to get ready for on Saturday. You got 15 practices to just focus on what you have on that roster. But even so, the fact that this is his approach going forward, I think it's a good sign for Florida Gator fans, because you wouldn't try to be so multiple if you didn't feel good about your personnel. Okay, so that's encouraging. Now, here's the word of caution I would provide for Gator fans. There is a danger in being too multiple. Now, what I mean by that is if you're good at a lot of things, are you ever really great at one thing? Just human nature. A lot of science will tell us that we're just not great multitaskers. We're not good at doing a lot of different things at once. And so my concern would be for Florida that you try to be good in a lot of different areas that you don't ever actually hone in on your identity. Now, if your identity is we're going to be able to be multiple, that's great. That's what Georgia actually made a living off of last year, was being able to dress it up on different weeks and have a different game plan every single week. But is that who Florida's able to be going forward? Requires great coaching, requires great personnel, requires great teaching, to be honest with you. And smart football players, which Florida, I'm not saying they don't have that. I'm just saying that's what's required. There's a reason you major in one thing in college. It's because you got to get good at just one thing and make a living off of that one good thing. What is Florida going to make a living off of? Is it being multiple on the front end and back end? We'll see. But I'm very curious to see how this works out in the long run for the Gators. The way I look at it, on paper, this is good news for the Gator fans. The fact that Austin Armstrong understands we have to be malleable week in and week out in the SEC to compete at the highest level. We can't just bring the same formula to the table. People will figure that out. It shows awareness. It's probably music to Florida Gators fans' ears. On paper, this is the right thing to say, the right thing to move towards in modern college football. With that being said, you still have to bring it to life. The reality is it's spring football, so we won't really get to see it come to life until the fall. But Austin Armstrong, 29 years old, was the DC at Southern Miss. Nick Saban wanted him to be his linebackers coach, okay? Don't forget that. If you have any questions about the legitimacy of an Austin Armstrong, just know that Nick Saban was prepared to sign off on bringing him on the staff before Billy Napier came and got him to be the DC. So I think Austin Armstrong is a rising star in our game. Just give it some time, all right? Don't expect Florida to just do a total 180 in terms of what they are defensively. Give it time, be patient, and keep an eye on just how multiple Florida does end up being during the season. Because it's the right approach. Modern college football, you have to be able to fight different styles, not just defensively, but offensively. You got to be able to keep your opponent guessing, regardless of the week. Different looks have to bring different things. You got to be able to play different styles. If Florida can do that, I think they'll be improved from what they were a year ago. Regardless, we'll cover it here. Make sure you got a membership at Gators Online. The Florida On 3 site, Nick De La Torre and company, do a phenomenal job. So get a membership over there. Also, subscribe to the On 3 YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate y'all, man. We love y'all. We will be live on Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Same deal on Thursday. Y'all know the drill. So lock it in. Again, like I said, we're going to keep the party rolling over here as we always do, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.